Hey guys, it's Chad back with the Three Swords Podcast, coming at you with a Monkey D Garp list. I'm playing a lot of black. He's probably my favorite leader so far out of the ones that I've tested. There's some reasons behind it, but I think his effect actually facilitates the kill cards in your deck the most. So I decided to kind of go like whole hog into that. And let me just jump into the ratios of those kill cards real fast. So we're going to play 4 1-drop Kobe, 4 3-drop Kobe, and then we actually play 4 Sakazuki, which is a little out of order for Dawn purposes, but this is like the most important thing that this deck really does. And that is, you can kill all of your opponent's stuff at any point in the game, just because your leader is going to allow you to do that. He is hard capped by 7 drops, but that's why you play 10-drop Kuzan. But to like facilitate the rest of the deck, for the black side, we play 4 4-drop Kuzan.
What's the 1-drop Kobe actually do? Because I mean, I know what the 3-drop Kobe is. They play that in Smoker. What's the 1-drop do?
The 1-drop does pretty much the same thing. On play, KO a character with a cost of 0, which is super easy to accomplish with your leader. You're really going to use this to kill low cost things, so you don't have to invest too much Dawn into your leader or just attaching to other characters.
Okay.
But every time you attach a Dawn to something, you get to reduce a character's cost, as long as its base cost, or not its base cost, but as long as its current cost is 7 or less. But otherwise, yeah, it's just another on-play KO effect for discarding a card. Yeah, let's slide these off to the side. But then, yeah, the other ones are still just the 4-drop Kuzan. Play 4 of it because it replaces itself. It's fine. It also helps you get like bigger cards like Edward Newgate or opposing 10-drop Kuzans lower than 7 cost, so that way you can then facilitate the rest of your leader effects to get them in range for Sakazukis and your other Kobes. Then otherwise, we just play 4-drop Borsellino, the best blocker in the game now. Incredibly hard to remove. 6k on your opponent's turn for 4 Dawn. It's just a lot.
That card is nuts, yeah.
Yeah. And then lastly, we were playing 3, not 4, 10-drop Kuzan. I would love to play 4-drop, 4 of him. But unfortunately, everything is like real aggressive, and you just can't afford to have that many. You're only ever going to resolve 1, and if you see a second one, you're most likely discarding it anyway. So I cut it down just to make room for the additional 1-drop Kobes. That, and then one other card that I cut down from 4 of, but we'll get to that one in a second.
Look at all those darts, Jesus. And also, yeah, you said actually that the format's really aggressive. I mean, that's definitely true from deck list results, but also our local is not playing a ton of meta.
Yes.
And that's important. You know, you can net deck all you want, but if your local is going a different direction, then you need to deck build for that. And I think this Garp list is looking real good for that.
Correct. And I feel like this deck actually does pretty well, or just like black in general does really well against the slower decks anyway. So like you don't need to tailor your deck for that. So like all around, I would probably make very few changes if I was going to go to anything else before. I would still need a little bit more data just to like know what needs to be maxed out, what doesn't. But for now, I'm pretty happy with the list. I swear I only lost to Zoro because I didn't have 2 kill spells in my opening hand. So, because like we still got to the end and I had everything on board. I just couldn't survive the onslaught of 1-drops. But if I just had seen 1 shockwave, I would have been fine.
So that's the black cards. Mm-hmm. But Garp is actually black and red. So
Yes.
where are the red cards?
So let's talk about these red cards. Because red has probably all of the best cards in the game. But we're not going to play any of the aggressive best cards. Instead, we're going to play 3 Nami. This is just going to tutor for any of our defensive cards that we want. But then we're really just playing this stuff for easy access to a 1-drop blocker. And then a lot of 2k counter.
Wow, that is a lot. And you're not playing Otama, so that's interesting.
No Otamas. It doesn't really work in this deck.
Right.
If I wanted to do like a bigger Straw Hat package and maybe play like Nico Robin, you could probably warrant it. But I think Nico Robin is too slow for what I'm trying to do, because I have to attack with Nico Robin to kill something when I can just attach and then play a card and kill something. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's necessary. I never play Sanji or Brook in any matchup. This is really just for me to defend. This card is actually like low-key good. If you have a read on what your opponent's trying to do, and you know that they need to use an event card to defend themselves, you can establish this and then pressure them with 5Ks. And eventually they're going to either have to just discard cards, or they're going to have to decide not to let you draw a card for a more optimal play. And oftentimes that's worse for them than, you just having this 3K body in play. I would never play this card early, just because it's going to die to like free removal. I guess red, you have Vista. Green has infinite ways to tap this down and kill it for just attacking it. But like late game, when you're trying to like just maintain your advantage that you have acquired just by killing things, this card's really good. And that's almost it for the red cards. There's one other one, but it's an event, so we'll just like slide all this stuff out of the way. But oh yeah, and this is the other card that I cut down from 4 to 3, and that's just because Nami can't grab Nami, and I don't really need the Straw Hat cards. At least I don't need Nami. I just need the other ones so I can defend better. So far pretty happy with these like results of seeing these cards. Black really just needs to stay alive, because then all of its bigger cards are better than your opponent's bigger cards.
Mm-hmm. And with these early like Kobe, Shockwaves, Kobe, Sakazuki, you are able to basically stay alive. I mean, even if your opponent plays 2 or 3 characters per turn, you're killing, between 1 to 3 characters per turn through attacks, through your abilities. Exactly.
And then, just like whenever you used to play against purple, a big thing that they would always do is they would just attack your character. And then if they defended it, you can just kill it and they still lose a card. It's an even trade for you.
Yeah.
They don't gain resources because you're not attacking their life. So then you get to just build your board up and then start swinging for 5Ks or higher, depending on what you're playing. Yeah.
And for events.
Yep, the last ones are the events. And then to kind of finish out the Straw Hat package, we have 4 Radical Beam. It's the best 1-drop counter spell in the game now, just because it's easy access and it's tutorable.
It's also a 1-mana 4K, which is really strong.
Exactly. Yeah. So like going to 2 life, I'm pretty comfortable with not dying after that, just because of all the easy access to 2Ks and then this 4K. And then on top of that, like if anytime I ever see my 4 Shockwave or one of my 4 Shockwave, I feel pretty confident that I can't die. Also, this card's trigger is just insane. So, but that's the full list. These all feel really good. There's probably room for change on the red side, but I don't know if I'd change a single card on the black side.
Okay, so talk to me about matchups. So one of the most popular questions that you get when posting a deck profile is, how does this deck perform against X? So talk to me about Zoro, because that's like #1 enemy right now.
Yeah.
That with Whitebeard are the things that are scary in the room. So how do you play against Zoro? And then after that, how does that change when you play against Whitebeard?
So the difference between Whitebeard and Zoro is depending on which Whitebeard matchup you're playing against. If you're playing like Straw Hat Whitebeard, you play the matchup pretty similar. If you're playing against Whitebeard, it's kind of easier, but also kind of scary, just because if you don't see your removal for either game, you're just going to be in a hard way. And that's pretty much anything, but it's more impactful against Zoro and Whitebeard just because of how aggressive they tend to play. If you're in a game against Zoro or Whitebeard and they're only committing 1 person to the board every turn, you're likely going to win that game, because every time they put a character in play, you remove it and then can attack for 5K. So you're going to constantly pressure them while removing their pressure. And then you only ever have to discard 1 additional card every turn, most likely to defend yourself. Sometimes though they may commit more, but then they're just only still committing 1 character to the turn, character per turn, which allows you to just continually keep the board clear while building your board. The problem with Zoro is that they tend to put in play a lot of little dudes early on, which is why Shockwave and 1-drop Kobe are actually just super important in that matchup, because attaching 1 Dawn, say you go second, you can attach 1 Dawn, minus their Sunny, Nami, anybody that they put in play on turn 1, play 1-drop Kobe and kill it. So that means that they're not going to be able to swing at you for 2 5Ks on their next turn, or a 6K and then 5 or a 6K, depending on what they're trying to do. But you also have the option to just hold up Shockwave, which then makes them in a predicament where they have to decide whether or not they want to commit to the board that turn, or if they want to just use their character to attack. Because if they try to commit to the board, they're going to lose whatever they put in play on turn 1, but then also not deal damage to you. So Shockwave and Kobe are like your only 2 good cards against Zoro, turns 1 through probably 3. Tapping out for a 3-drop Kobe to kill a thing is awkward against Zoro because they're most likely going to be putting in 2 to 3 cards on their previous turn. Against Whitebeard, we're playing straight Whitebeard. It's a little bit different just because they are going to be playing several big bodies, but that's actually easier for you to handle, so you don't have to worry about that too much. The big scary thing about either deck is if they ever play Edward Newgate, but as long as you have established and have maintained a 4-drop Kuzan, you can actually attack with Kuzan and then play your big Kuzan and insta-kill Newgate, and then if they have their own Kuzan or something in play, if you're playing against black, you have other ways to kill it, but you have to utilize your leader effect to do so. But that's the main reason why I like this, is because black always has a good matchup against green just because all their cards are 8 cost or 7 cost, and then those are super easy to remove. But then you get into the matchups that are actually really good, which are like just the better decks, which is just red decks. And then they have Newgate, and there's like no good removal for Newgate, except black actually has it. It's just in the form of using 4-drop Kuzan or just other, minus effects, and then get them under, and then you can kill it.
Yeah. Or you also have the very weird option of equipping 9 Dawn to your leader, reducing Edward Newgate down to 0, and then playing 1-drop Kobe.
That does not work.
That doesn't work?
No. He can only target cards that have a current cost level of 7 or less.
Ah, okay. So Garp a little bit limiting there.
Yeah, little limiting. That's why we still play the 4-drop Kuzan. The only thing that I don't like about 4-drop Kuzan is that you have to attack to get his effect. I am very much in the mindset that like having like an on-play effect is way better. You can get multiple uses out of 4-drop Kuzan, but black is already kind of like taxed on its hands. You don't want to spend too much effort keeping battle cards alive whenever you're just going to remove things by killing them anyway. So it's awkward, especially if you know that you need a 4-drop Kuzan to remove a big threat. That's probably the only limiting factor. But the main reason why I like this, say over like Zephyr, who has no problem killing any of the big stuff, is just because the defensive capabilities of red is far superior than purple in the sense that you don't have to lose tempo to defend yourself. All of purple's good defensive cards require you to lose Dawn, which puts you off of your ability to maintain your advantage. And I don't like that. Because especially if you're trying to pressure in like a big matchup against green, or even against like Edward Newgate, who's going big, say you couldn't get them to 1 or 0 life, and then they started dropping Edward Newgates, you're probably going to lose that game unless you can remove those Newgates. Yeah, you have to be able to play your 10-drop Kuzan in that like scenario. So,
right on. Well, thanks, Chad. I appreciate you sharing your deck with us. And damn, those alt arts are sick. Is that the entire deck that you have?
We do have all of them.
What do you? Okay.
We have all of them.
So you're just waiting for all those alt art radical beams and red cards to come out, huh?
Yeah. There's also the new promo 1-drop. Just so everybody knows, I do have it. There is the new alt art 3-drop Kobe that just got printed. I want that.
Okay. So if you got one, hit up Chado. All right, guys. If you like the video, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.